How was your early life?
Back
in Australia.
Look, my early life was brilliant. So I think that you really did win the lotto of life being born in Australia like I did back in the 1980s. I was brought up in a big house, a big backyard, and property was quite cheap in Australia in the 70s and 80s. It's very, very expensive now. Sydney's second to Hong Kong,
Yeah.
but in those days it was a great life to be able to be surrounded by two parents that loved me, and Australia had this great outdoors lifestyle that is the envy of many people. That you had a wealth of trees and parks and a lot of snakes and spiders that were always after you, but you had beaches and to be in a beautiful environment like that, very, very fortunate.
But what something in your childhood inspired you for entering the media industry? Anything or not?
Well, look, I'm very lucky. I was very close to my four grandparents. I had three grandparents that lived into their 90s and were quite lucid, so I got to know them very well. And by doing that, I got to know myself. Because I could go, I've got that trait from this, and this, I'll pick up this habit from this one. And so, aside from being close to my parents, but I think what drew me to the media was there was always, radio in Western countries has been around for years. I mean, it's radio in Australia is celebrating its 100th year. So it's always been on. You wake up in the morning and people, put the toaster on, the kettle on, and the radio goes on to hear the news. So I was always around radio. I was always around music.
But no family involvement in media, like your father?
No, I had an uncle who was a musician, but really my involvement in media came two ways. It actually came because, you touched on me getting sick. I had quite a debilitating disease when I was about 12 or 13. And going further than that, it came from a love of music.
Okay.
So I was always obsessed with music. And I started learning the guitar at the age of 7. And even within 3 weeks, I was telling...
Spanish or electric?
It was more... Well, within the first 3 weeks, it's all the same. But within 3 weeks, I was already saying to my mum, look, I don't like what the teacher's telling me. It's too single note. Dun, 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 dun. I was like, I want to rock out. So we already had to shift at that point my lessons. So music was always the love. 12 or 13, got really, really sick and was lying in bed listening to the radio the whole time. And that depth of knowledge from spending years listening to the radio and love of music, because before we had Spotify, music radio was the preeminent radio stars, were the heroes. That's kind of where it led me to kind of think, well, I've got all this experience of music and radio. Maybe I should forge on that path. And that's where it came from.